No, hold on. This is 5 minutes funnier.
Welcome to 5 Minutes Funnier, the comedy how-to, and if you haven't already guessed, I have a cold. Doesn't matter, let's talk about the illusion of reality. Now, it's not something that happens a huge amount of the time, but I do see quite often people who go up on stage and they do a joke and it confuses the audience because they have wandered too far away from reality. The fact of the matter is, we do that with comedy all the time. Different forms of comedy, you can get away with more stuff. And stand-up is one of those ones where you have to stay fairly close to reality or give the audience an impression of a possible reality. It's a little different if you're doing a cartoon. That's the beauty of Family Guy or The Simpsons or American Dad or Rick and Morty. They can go wherever they want. It's a cartoon. We accept that. We understand that. But when we are standing on stage, we have to at least present the illusion of reality. When it comes to the illusion of reality, nobody was better at it than Woody Allen. Now, Woody Allen was born in 1935, and he started writing professionally when he was still going to high school. A lot of people think he was writing for Your Show of Shows, the Sid Caesar show, but in fact, he was writing with another show that came after that, which was also, I think it was Caesar's Hour possibly, but he was still working with the likes of Mel Brooks, Carl Reiner, and, can't remember his name all of a sudden, but guy who wrote The Odd Couple. He did that for a number of years. The show ended, and he went to see two managers, Joffe and Charles, I think it is, and to have them represent him as a writer. But they in turn said, no, hold on a minute. You need to be a stand-up comedian. He really didn't care for the idea, but he went along with them because they seemed to know what they were talking about. And he started out in 1962, and it's fascinating to look back on some of those episodes. You can find them on YouTube where he made guest appearances on Jack Parr or Steve Allen or even Hootenanny. This is a very awkward man on stage. This is somebody who's kind of got on stage very quickly because of his reputation and because of the fact he was writing some pretty good stuff at the time, but he is very awkward on stage. Well, the beautiful thing about Woody Allen is he took that awkwardness, that nebbish character that he created, and he made that his act. That's who he was on stage. And the result was that he could now play with reality a little bit. Let me give you an example. Having a date and his apartment is really cold. So he does the old apartment trick in New York City of turning on the shower as hot as he can in the bathroom. And the warm front from his bathroom met the cold front from his living room, and it started to rain in his apartment. Clearly, it's going to have to be awfully cold and awfully warm to have that happen. But it does sort of make sense on some level to most people. I think anybody here who attends hockey games when it's a hot day out has seen fog on the ice. So it kind of makes sense that this sort of thing can happen. So the joke works as a result. Now, he went on to have a very brief stand-up career. He was at his best between 1964 and 1968. In fact, there is an album out there that includes a lot of his work from that time period. And by this time, you're hearing a much more polished comic. Somebody who was beginning to tell stories. The stories themselves would eventually become movies, and that's how he got into that end of the business. But he was very good at it. This still goes on to this day. You take somebody like Stephen Wright or Mitch Hedberg, there's great examples of taking it to an extreme. It sounds improbable, but on some level, it doesn't sound impossible. So what this comes around to is if you're writing a joke and you're presenting it on stage and it doesn't go over, take another look at that joke. Make sure you haven't made a bend to reality in order to get to your punchline to make it work, but you haven't explained to the audience why reality has bent. The illusion of reality is the lifeblood of comedy. Anyway, I'm Jimmy England for 5 Minutes Funnier. And I've got one more of these to record, so I'm going to sound sick for one more time. So sorry. Anyway, stay funny.